constantly we hear, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to bring in this legislation, that legislation. First of all, you need to give the police the tools to do the job to arrest people in the first place. That means more police officers. It means less bureaucracy. It means, quite rightly, as the lady said, more police bases, reopen police stations. You need a presence out there that's actually going to deter people that carry knives. At the moment, sadly, most people who carry knives think it is worth the risk because the odds of them being stopped and searched is fairly remote. And of course, when police officers do stop and search, they are really on a hiding to nothing, because if that stop and search goes wrong, if the person resists being stopped and searched, then of course the officer is complained about and the investigation goes on for years and possibly their career is ruined.
Yeah, we end up with the irony of the officer being investigated for carrying out a stop and search when they're not doing it for a giggle, they're looking for bad weapons. And when you're in an area like Notting Hill, we saw this weekend, which was there's been different trends in knife crime, as you were aware, Chris, when it comes to Notting Hill. It's the world's biggest street carnival, I think I'm right in saying. Very hard to police. Some say it's almost impossible to police with that amount of people out in public streets and the arterial roads that flow on from it, etc. You can't have eyes and ears everywhere, but it was, I would imagine, to the police and to everybody, disappointing to see this level of knife crime taking place over a single weekend.
I was there at Carnival. I was there on both days. I didn't see any of the violence that obviously took place because I can't be everywhere on the patch. What I would say is that the police worked very, very hard to try and stop the knife crime. But with 2 million people, it's extremely difficult. The other thing I would say, sort of related to this, is the fact that relations between police and carnival goers that I saw, bearing in mind, apparently the black community hate the police, loathe the police, they were very amicable. They were friendly. They were good, positive relations. And I got the feeling that as far as Carnival was concerned, most of the revellers out there were very, very supportive of what the police were trying to do. But in a crowd like that, in an area like that, stopping all knife crime, very, very difficult. And of course, a lot of police officers also, sadly, were injured in those violent areas of Carnival.
And it's become it's a status thing now, isn't it? It's kudos in one of these huge machete zombie knife things. It's become, for some reason, it's almost medieval in the sense, people pulling out, no, that's a knife. It's that territory, right? It's like mine's bigger than yours. It really is in that category now.
I think that's right. And I think the unfortunate thing is it's really pervasive. I think what a lot of politicians don't understand, and Baroness Casey certainly didn't understand it because there was no reference in her report, is the influence of gangs in these inner city areas. Now, these gangs hold tremendous sway. Gangs have got their own, on YouTube, news channels. They've got their own documentaries. They run scoreboards, so you've got one gang against another, and you get so many points if you murder someone, so many points for a stabbing, so many points for a shooting, so many points if you've made the op run away. And of course, this extends into schools. If you go to a local school in these areas, the kids all know who the gang leaders are. They're celebrities. So you've got this battle against this. And I think it's one that can be fought. For a start, I think that possibly, certainly people are opposed to this, but the graphic results of knife crime need to be shown. Some of the terrible injuries that it causes, the misery that it causes. Yeah. And that can be combined with something positive, like first aid. What do you do if you come across your mate who's been stabbed, providing it's safe to do? How do you treat him? Combine it with all these aspects. Have a real revolution in education. Yeah. In terms of knife crime, bring in so many aspects of it. But that isn't going to happen. The police will do their best, but as we know, police are absolutely stretched to the limit. And to be quite honest, at the moment, totally demoralised with the way things are. The experienced officers are hemorrhaging out the force at the moment.
Absolutely right.